Hello and welcome to the Zen of Chemistry. My name is Amelia McCutcheon, and in this video we're going to be talking about preparing for Year 12 VCE Chemistry in 2026. So the Zen of Chemistry is my business name. My mission is to make learning chemistry as simple as possible. So there's lots of content to get through when you're studying chemistry, and it's very easy to either go too deep too quickly or to rush through the material. So essentially, with my business, I try to get straight to the point without too much superfluous stuff. I try to make it real with real examples from everyday life. And my videos are generally pretty short and sweet. So I don't try to put in too much extra information. I try to simplify as much as possible so that you can get your understanding under wraps first. We deal with the intricacies a little bit later. So a little bit about me. I have a Bachelor of Forensic Science. So essentially it was a nice way to do a biology and chemistry course or degree with a forensic slant, I guess you'd say. So really, I am a biologist and a chemist. Probably chemist first. I did a lot of my undergrad. I did some research projects in my undergrad in chemistry, and then I did my honours year in analytical chemistry. I have also a number of years experience as a research chemist, and I'm also spend a few years in industrial chemistry. So essentially working on a chemical plant as an analytical chemist. I am a master's qualified teacher, and I'm also registered with the teacher registration body, VIT, or Victorian Institute of Teaching. I am a practicing teacher. I have been a tutor for over 20 years now, and I'm also a qualified and experienced trainer. So yes, I am a chemistry educator. That's what I am there on the left. That's a nice demonstration I did for a primary school. But I'm also a mum. I've got two kids who are in primary school. I have a passion for karate. I've been doing music since I was a little kid, and I like to dabble in a bit of geometric art as well. So in this video, we are going to essentially look at preparing for Year 12. We're going to look back on the topics that you've already done and the topics that are upcoming. I've got some study tips and tricks for you. I've got some SAC and exam techniques. And lastly, we will look at a past exam breakdown just from the last couple of years' exams, which are the most relevant to you right now. All right, so preparing for Year 12. So if you are entering Year 12 VCE Chemistry, these units and the information in them should not be unknown to you. These are the topics that you would have already done. If you're entering Year 11 VCE Chemistry, you will be doing these this year. This video is probably not aimed at the Year 11 students. We won't be talking a lot about Year 11 except in the next few minutes, but definitely, essentially, we're looking at the basics of chemistry. How can the diversity of materials be explained? And then how do chemical reactions shape the natural world? Okay, so if we break that down a little bit further, we have topics that I've listed out from those two units that essentially I would say are absolutely crucial for Year 12 chemistry. And to be honest, it's pretty much all of them. Okay, if I could pick out a few out of these topics, which ones would I pick to be the ones that you might want to go back and revise the most? Definitely writing and balancing equations and understanding how to do stoichiometry. Those two are very, very crucial. Probably tying into that is concentration and dilution. And if I were to go further than that, maybe organic chemistry, what you learn in year 11 is expanded upon in year 12. So having a really good firm basis for your year 11 organic chemistry is really crucial. And then probably, I mean, it's all important, but chemical analysis. There's lots of chemical analysis, and as you'll see in the exam breakdown, chemical analysis makes up a good portion of the exam in year 12. All right, so Unit 3 and Unit 4. Let's look at Unit 3. How can design and innovation help to optimize chemical processes? So essentially, we're looking at fuels. Now, whether those are fuels that we use for everyday life or whether that's biochemical fuels, that they're both covered in that. And then we also look at the rate and yield of chemical reactions and how we can sort of make those more optimized for whatever purpose we need. And then Unit 4, how are carbon-based compounds designed for purpose? So this is where we go into our hydrocarbon chemistry and how they're synthesized, how we can essentially have a synthesis pathway, and then how are they analyzed and used. So a little bit deeper into Unit 3. So you can see there in area of study 1 there, we have fossil fuels, biofuels, and fuel sources in the body. If you are a biology student, you will find that a lot of your biology knowledge will come into this in terms of cellular respiration and photosynthesis, which is really handy. You'll find if you do biology, there's lots of transferable information, and also it has a little bit of a different perspective on it. So just be prepared for that. We have thermochemistry. So essentially, if we have chemical reactions that release or absorb energy from their surroundings, how do we measure that? How do we utilize that information? And then lastly, we've got galvanic cells. Essentially, we have chemical reactions that produce or produce electricity. So essentially, we're looking there at batteries and fuel cells and the basic chemistry behind those. So that's where your oxidation and reduction knowledge from year 11 is really crucial. Area of study 2, we're looking at the rate and yield of chemical reactions. So we're looking at thermodynamics, which is really how we affect rate of reaction and understand rate of reaction, how we can optimize that. We've got equilibrium. In that case, we're talking about chemical reactions that have the potential to go backwards and forwards. And if that is the case, how do we optimize the yield of a chemical reaction to obtain the product that we're looking for? And then we've got electrolysis. And electrolysis is kind of the opposite of galvanic cells in a lot of ways. We are putting electricity into a system or into a galvanic cell, driving it to go the other way, and that is useful in terms of recharging batteries and also electroplating. All right, Unit 4. Lots and lots of hydrocarbon chemistry. Okay, so this is where your year 11 knowledge is really important. Essentially, we take what you've done in year 11 and we deepen. Okay, so we do more hydrocarbon classes. We understand the reactions of different hydrocarbons, and then really where we want to get to is understanding how we can synthesize a molecule that we want to get in the end. So we're looking at reaction pathways essentially. The last little bit on there is green chemistry and trying to work out how we make sure that we maximize our yields and do that in a sustainable way. Area of study 2 there in Unit 4 is all about analyzing chemical compounds. So we have lab analysis, wet chemistry, volumetric analysis, and then we move into some instrumental analysis, which is all quite new, except for we've got chromatography at the bottom. So we definitely do that in year 11, but we do a different type of chromatography, which is a quantitative type of test. So mass spectrometry, infrared, NMR are all qualitative tests. We've got HPLC, which is a quantitative test. And then we have medicinal chemistry at the end there, understanding how when we transfer all of this information into medicinal chemistry, how we make sure that the medicines we get are actually what is on the packet, and understanding that sort of end of it. All right, what wasn't put into those 2-unit informations was area of study 3. So if you've completed year 11, you will have already done area of study 3. So I'm not going to talk too much about this. Essentially, it's the design and conducting of a student-led investigation. Can you do real life science? Okay, and the focus here is on energy production, chemicals, or organic synthesis. Really, it's testing your ability to form a hypothesis and see, conduct an investigation where you get quantitative data. Can you analyze it? Can you evaluate it? Can you criticize it? Can you work out what its limitations are? And then you present your findings as a scientific poster. Now, I really don't, except in my one-on-one classes with students, I really don't spend a lot of time discussing this. So if you've got any questions about it, definitely send them through and I'm happy to answer what I can. But that's not really the focus of what we're doing in this video. All right. What are the percentage contributions to the study score? So Unit 3, Unit 4, 20 and 30% respectively. Really, that 10% is the 10% difference. So you've got 10% more in the Unit 4 that is attributable to that area of study 3. So really, Unit 3 coursework is 20%, Unit 4 coursework is 20%, and then your 10% comes from that unit area of study 3. And then your end of year exam is 50%. All right, so let's talk about study tips and tricks. All right. Right. Know your learning style. Now, this is always a tricky one because I think really you can only work it out for yourself. Some people like color. They like to write their notes in all different colors. They might like to use post-it notes and stick them on the back of their toilet door so they can read them when they're in the toilet. Okay. Some people are better at learning, auditory learners. They're auditory learners. So it's really great in this day and age with the use of AI, potentially. You can take text and get it to read to you or have it converted into audio so that you can listen to that information. Me personally, I am a writer, so I have been known to copy out nearly entire textbooks worth of information, but that just seems to be the way that it sticks in my head. So I'm not a color person. I find it's just the act of writing it solidifies it in my head. So really, this is something you need to play with. Play with it as early as possible. If you're a year 11 student and you're watching this, definitely go back and spend that time working out what your learning style is, because it's going to be invaluable information. And then most importantly, use your learning style. Try to integrate into what you can in the classroom, and then of course when you're at home studying for SACs and exams. All right, organize your time. I know everyone says this, but essentially it's really, really, really crucial. Okay. Especially in year 12, you'll have 4, 5, 6 subjects. You really do need to prioritize what is important, and then also make time for revision and making sure that you're going back and revising all of your information. All right, this is my big one, because we're not examined on how much is in our head. We're examined on our ability to communicate what is in our head. So the most valuable thing that you can do is do questions, and I definitely encourage people to start exam questions as early as possible. So I do like to integrate them into all of my lessons all the way back to the start of year 11, essentially. Show students really expose students to the types of wording that comes into questions, the way that questions are structured, and maybe even the ways that questions give you little red herrings and try to take you off course a little bit. So the more exposure you have to questions, and also looking at the answers and working out where the marks come from and how you can maximize the number of marks you get, that all comes from doing exam questions and understanding the marking scheme. All right, textbook questions are fantastic for knowledge and understanding. Exam questions is actually how you are going to be examined and how you will get your marks. Okay, so do them as much as you can. All right, in terms of studying, really, you don't want to go back and look over the stuff that you lack and the stuff that you understand. And it's really affirming to do that. But really, when we're learning something new, it's really important to make sure that we identify what we don't understand. Spend the time working out what you don't understand and revise that, not the stuff that you enjoy and that you do well at already. All right. I would recommend that you study by yourself, but also in groups and in teacher speak. We talk about peer learning and spending time with your friends and your classmates discussing information. And even if you are the person who understands the topic and you teach it to someone else, that is still an excellent way to study because you're really solidifying what you already know. Okay, so you could be on the receiving end of someone teaching you in a group, but don't underestimate the value of teaching something to someone else because you'll really learn a lot as well. All right, so try and get a nice balance of being by yourself and in groups if you can. All right, probably closer to exams, I would say do practice questions or exams under exam conditions. That's really just getting used to having the exam conditions and getting a feel of how it feels. I'm sure you've done exams before, but under the exam conditions, particularly time is the one. Having a time limit can definitely be something that helps you along, and understanding how much time you should spend on each question is really valuable. All right, practice relaxation techniques. And this sounds sometimes a little bit woo-woo, but know how you can regulate yourself. Know how you can, when you are in a high stress situation, work out how to relax yourself. In many of my year 12 exams and my university exams, at some point I had a little, I wouldn't say panic attack because that is not what it was, but I had a little oh my God, I didn't learn that. Or, oh my God, I remember looking at that thinking I won't need that, but there it is on the exam. So it's in those times that we don't think very straight. So you need a way of making sure that you're relaxing yourself and just able to get your brain back on track. All right, and then the last one, I think this is the last one. Think about how you might structure your time in the SAC or exam. A lot of people do multiple choice first. I am definitely a short answer person first. I think if you can get to the end of the exam and you've only got 5 minutes, you can guess your way through multiple choice and get some marks. But if you've only got 5 minutes left of the exam and you've still got half of your short answer questions to do, you can't muddle your way through that and get some marks. You might be able to, but it's tricky. So just have a think about it. Give some thought to it. Oh, yes. And take breaks when you're studying long hours. I know it's tempting to want to really knuckle down and focus and focus and focus, but that is very fatiguing. Things don't stick in your brain. So make sure, even if you just get up and walk around, get a glass of water, go outside, pat your dog, whatever you want to do, get some sunshine, take breaks. All right. On the day of a SAC or exam, I know it's hard sometimes. Get as much rest as you can. Okay, your brain will function much better if you are rested. Be early if you can. If you're driving, leave early. If you are catching buses, be early for the bus too. Try and keep your stress levels as low as possible. Be confident, right? You've studied for it. You spent the time. You know your stuff. Just go in and do it. All right. This was a big one for me in year 12. Stay away from groups of people who are stressing out, because that stressing out can pass on to you. So try not to. If people are calm and happy, no problems. Hang about them, but try and stay away from people stressing out. All right, minimize distractions. If you are wearing a new jumper that has an annoying tag on it, that's going to distract you from your SAC or exam. So make sure that all of that sort of stuff is taken care of. Avoid too much caffeine. Caffeine's fantastic, right? It's very helpful in being able to help you focus, but you've got to be careful that you don't have too much. All right, and just a list of things to bring. You need to make sure you've got working pencils, pens, eraser, sharpener, all that sort of stuff. If you're using, well, you will be in chemistry using a scientific calculator, don't go and buy one the day before. I've had students who have used their phones. Well, it's not so much now that phones are not allowed in schools, but in years gone by, people would use their phones all year and then get to the day before the exam and buy a brand new calculator and don't know how to use it, or don't know how to get the most out of it. So use the one that you're going to use in the exam or the SAC. Also check the battery the day before. Definitely recommend you take in a water bottle with the label removed. You can take in an analog watch, but not a smartwatch. If you, like me, have poor eyesight and can't see the clock after you've been focusing on a piece of paper in front of you for an hour and a half, a watch in front of you is very handy. And then if you are looking at the weather and think you might need a jumper, definitely take a jumper, or just make sure that you're wearing clothes appropriate to the weather. All right. In the SAC or exam, follow the instructions. I think that was pretty straightforward. Use your reading time effectively. So keep in mind that you are not allowed to mark your exam paper with your nail to start on your multiple choice questions. But use it effectively, and a lot of people use it in all different types of ways. So just have an idea of how you might use yours. Work rapidly but thoroughly. Okay, don't spend ages on one question. Try and just spend as little time as possible on each question so that you can get through them all. All right. Multiple choice questions, really, you want to eliminate the ones that are incorrect. And if you get down to two that you're not quite sure, at least you've got a 50-50 chance, not a 25, 25, 25, 25. All right. Try to approach exam questions with a clear mind. In my experience, sometimes the first question of the short answer questions is purposefully made difficult. Okay, if you're looking at it going, I have no idea, move on to the next question. Okay, you don't have to engage with every question in order. Okay, and so go in and do the ones that you find are easy first. Yeah. All right. Oh, that's what, here we go. Do the questions you know you can do well first. Okay, get your confidence up, get in the flow of the exam. All right. Keep your calculations organized. As a person who never marked exams before, but sometimes I see students' calculations and I'm like, I can't even give you any marks because I can't see what's going on. I can't make sense of it. Make it easy for the examiner. Show how you do it in an organized way so that they can give you the marks. All right. Use jargon words knowledgeably. You want to use keywords, definitely, but use them in a way that is useful. All right. If you don't know the answer, make an educated guess. What sounds most plausible? If you don't know the answer, have a go. Right. Use any spare time at the end to check your answers. Double check the last page. Do not make the mistake that I made in my Maths Methods Year 12 exam and completely miss the last page. Don't do that one. And write down anything you can before pen's down. Okay. All right. Mistakes to watch out for. These are the big ones in chemistry. Significant figures, units, rounding too early, or not using the correct units for energy, which is joules or kilojoules. These are the big ones. Yes, occasionally there are marks awarded for the correct number of significant figures. If you don't do your rounding correctly, your answer will be off slightly, okay? So if you round too early, your answer could be on or off, and depending on what the tolerance for that is, you may or may not get the mark. And of course, the units help the examiner help you show the examiner that you actually know what you're talking about by showing the units that you're using. All right. After the SACA exam, celebrate. You can't do anything about it. Congratulate yourself. All right. Depending on your personality, I definitely avoid debrief sessions with my friends. That's how I found out that I missed the whole last question of my maths exam. And that totally stressed me out. So I don't recommend it. Some people like it, but if your personality is that you don't like that, don't do it. Okay. And then don't stress. There's nothing you can do about it after you've finished. Okay. You can't go back in time. All right. Let's look at the past exams. Now, I want to preface this with these are my own interpretations of the exams. If someone came along and looked at them and did a similar thing, they would be slightly different. Okay, so these are my interpretation. I've only done the last two exams because that is the new study design. Let's remember that we have 15 minutes of reading time. You have 2.5 hours of writing time, and you've got a multiple choice section and a short answer section. And again, I'm going to prompt you to say, how are you going to go into that exam? What is your strategy? Okay, you need some kind of strategy. Doesn't have to be complex, just think about it. All right, the mark allocation, you've got, in terms of time, you've got about 38 minutes or 40 minutes if you like for multiple choice, and nearly 2 hours for short answer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you're spending an hour on multiple choice, you might want to move on. All right, so we have the 2024 exam breakdown, and I'm going to be flipping forward these next two ones. So what is important? What can I pick out of this? Here we have hydrocarbon chemistry and reaction pathways. That's a good percentage. Okay, I can guarantee you, and I can't remember how far back it goes, but definitely, if I could say maybe 2015, at least the last 10 years, there's definitely been a question on reaction pathways. Look, you can see there's a really nice spread. If you look at lab analysis, spectroscopy, chromatography, medicinal chemistry, that's like 25% of the marks. We've got here laboratory techniques, critique, general science knowledge. This is like scientific method stuff. Can you critique scientific method? Can you understand what's going on? And then you can see here green chemistry and sustainability. This has come up in the last few years with the new study design. It's definitely more of a percentage of your marks is understanding how we can do things better in the future. They're probably the big ones. If we look at thermochemistry and fuels, that's a fairly big chunk as well. So, and then electrolysis, actually, electrolysis is also one of those things that there's pretty much always a question on electrolysis in almost every exam. Okay. All right. 2025. So this is the one, you can find these exams up on the VCAR website. The exam itself is up on the website. The examiner's report is not yet up on the website. What can we see? I mean, it's very similar. If we flip back and forward, they're not too dissimilar. There's a really good spread of all of the topics. Your hydrocarbon chemistry and reaction pathways are much smaller in this last exam, which is probably different from most of the exams in the last 10 years. We've got our thermochemistry making up a fairly big, much bigger portion than last year. We've got equilibrium taking up a much bigger portion than last year. Electrolysis is about the same. We've got lab analysis, spectroscopy, chromatography, medicinal chemistry, again, making up that sort of 25%. And in this last year, if you look at the laboratory techniques and general knowledge, there was a little bit less of that this year, but a little bit more green chemistry. All right, so what do we take out of this? All of the topics are important. There are definitely exam question types that are more common than others, or that repeat year after year. The reaction pathways is one example of that. They come back. And really what you've got to remember is all of these topics, it's the application of your knowledge that is important. How can you expose yourself to lots of different types of questions of similar topics, but asked in different ways, essentially. All right, so what can the Zen of Chemistry offer you? So if you are watching this as part of my Zen of Chemistry summer school, you'll know that we have some free webinars for limited time replay in the next 2 weeks in January. If you are watching this on my website and you are not part of that and you would like to be, please sign up. The link will be underneath this video. How else can I help you? Well, I have downloadable formula sheets. These are $20 each. They are digital. You cannot take them into the exam, but they do help you with your studying and helping you to understand what's needed. So essentially they're 2 A4 pieces of paper, one for year 11, one for year 12. You can have them on your phone or laptop or whatever you use digitally while you're studying to refer to help you out. Okay, so they're quick reference essentially. Going down the bottom here, I do offer limited tutoring. I do that in person in my studio in Geelong, but I also do online tutoring as well. The new offering I have this year is group online tutoring, considering the fact that lots of people will be doing the same topic at the same time. Essentially, this is an offering that I have. If you're not close to me, you might consider coming in and joining the group. Essentially, it comprises of a one hour group online tutoring session together, and you bring your questions and we get through as much as we can. And then there's also online support as well. So that will be in a separate app that you can ask questions anytime. I try to get back to you within 24 hours, but definitely within 48 hours. It's not I've got an exam in 5 minutes, can you help me situation, but that sort of, I don't want to say 24/7 support because I'm not answering at 2 o'clock in the morning. But essentially, we've got a group there. It's a much more affordable than individual tutoring, but you still get that support. And then the last one there is the Zen of Chemistry Academy. Essentially, it's all these videos in one place where you can access them at any time. And this is essentially all of the topic videos. So it's not just this one, obviously. It's going to be all of the topic videos for Year 11, Year 12, VCE Chemistry. And I guess where I would also consider addressing this, if you're an international baccalaureate student, is any of this relevant to you? Definitely. Chemistry is chemistry is chemistry, okay? But as an IB student, whether you're standard level or high level, you'll know that the questions are asked in very different ways in IB, and the topics are ever so slightly different. Definitely in high level, there's much more high level concepts, but chemistry is chemistry is chemistry. So any of these offerings are available to you at any time. All right, these are the formula sheets. So I won't spend too much time having a look at this. Essentially, you can go to zenofchemistry.com, and if you go to, I think it's just its own tab, formula sheets, and you can go there. It's a PayPal link. You get them instant download. So, but you can see kind of what's in them and how to use them, essentially. All right, so I hope that was useful. If you've got any questions, if you're watching this as part of the summer school this year, remember that if you have any questions, please send them through to me via email. If you are watching this on my website and would like to join the summer school and it's still running, please definitely sign up and you'll just go straight into that group and be able to access the videos immediately. And if you're watching this video on my website and are interested in any of my services or offerings, please be in touch. I have a contact button on my website, so please be in touch. I am Amelia McCutcheon from the Zen of Chemistry. Have a great day.